last year's top 5 finish, luckily for us, did not lead to heightened expectations this season. We had a little bit of a transfer budget. We didn't have much of a wage increase, which meant what transfer money we did have after signing the few players we signed went right back into the salary, because I think this is one of those saves where early on I'm going to be flirting with disaster from a financial point of view with regards to salary and the limits the board is placing on it. But I think we had a fairly successful offseason. We lost a couple players that I wasn't ready to lose, but I'm also one of those guys who isn't going to deal with an upset locker room if it means a guy I want to stay has to stay. The only thing we got to worry about now is injuries, and isn't that going to be fun? My name is FM Jellicoe, and this is Red Devils Rising. Our transfer budget last year was 3.4 something million. And it looked at the time like we were getting a decent amount of wage increase, especially with the players leaving. And that simply wasn't true, because there were certain players that I wanted to stay, and their salaries in effect doubled. They went from 6,500 euros a week to 13,000 euros a week, sort of thing. And I'm okay with that in most cases with most players. There's other players who demanded a wage increase that didn't even see the playing field last year and got all upset when I didn't cede into their demands. And it's like, I can barely recognize your name. Are you even sure you're a part of my team? And yeah, they were, but at the same time, you know, if you're a 2-star current, 2.5-star potential fullback, and you're demanding a better contract based on your value to the club, your value to the club to me isn't in your potential. It's what you do on the field. And if on the field you perform like crap, I'm not giving you more money. Enough said. So that said, we had this was a really long transfer window, and a lot of it was due to the fact that I had a lot of trialists in. I had a lot of frees I took a look at. I spent money where I could spend money, and I think for the most part I spent it wisely. But first, on the outs, Valerio Labriola went to Jena on loan. Bastian Firstine went to Norderstedt on loan, plus a 7,000 euro a month fee. Valerio is a midfielder with a decent amount of potential, but my midfield's pretty crowded at the moment, so he wasn't going to see a lot of playing time here this year. So I loaned him out. Next year he will be part of the starting rotation. Bastian Firstine is a winger. Not a bad winger. He's capped for Macedonia at the under-21 level. He's definitely got potential. He's 4.5-star potential, if I remember correctly. So, and I installed 4-star potential. I got to go to the scout report. So, Mark Delavadov is one of the youth players. He's a striker. He's not Bundesliga quality. He may not even be too Bundesliga quality, but he's a solid striker for the skills he has at the moment. He did score his first goal last season, but he went to Stuttgart on a free. Lucas Eliuditz went to Muselwitz on a free. Elijah Wolgemuth went to Luckenwald on a free. Eliuditz was a midfielder, 2-star current. He was one of those guys, 2-star current ability, 3-star potential ability, and wanted a lot more money than he was actually worth. The first quote-unquote big out was Abdo Spahic. He was upset with the playing time he got last season because I brought Mazzini in, and Mazzini performed really well for us. I think Spahic would have done a credible job for us last season. I also think we would have finished top 3 if Spahic had been between the sticks. Mid-table, definitely, but top 3, no. He went to Ustand for 98,000 euros. Eric Smith and Lucas Spalvis. Sivasspor, they're in the Turkish Super League, finished mid-table last season, and they're spending a decent amount of money, at least compared to what they sent out, to strengthen their squad. I think they're trying to challenge for one of the playoff spots in the Turkish Super League, and that means you have to finish top 3. And with Trabzonspor, Galatasaray, and a couple other teams, that's a little bit difficult. But they made offers for Eric Smith and Lucas Spalvis. They kind of lowballed us on Eric Smith, but he was all hot to trot to go. When I tried keeping him here, he essentially said, I've done everything I can here, I want to go there. And it was like, okay, you know, he's a 4-star current, 4-star potential, really good, solid presence in the midfield. I really didn't want to lose him, but he was also a team leader And not exactly team leader on the hierarchy, next step down. He was one of the leaders in the locker room, I should say. And I knew if I tried keeping him here, he was upset. It was just going to throw the locker room into a mess. Lucas Spalvis, I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. 2 years ago, he had a career for the ages when we were in third Bundesliga. 35 appearances, 38 goals, 7 assists, 8 players of the match. He was just a man possessed. Last season, he still had a solid season. 28 appearances, 14 goals, 2 assists, 4 players of the match. That's because he was injured. Rote came on and really made the most of his opportunities. And I rotated some other forwards in as well, Tuazi and a couple other players. He was going to be part of the rotation this year. I've got enough people, and we're playing enough games that he would probably start maybe 20 to 24 games, but he would get appearances in most of the others, and I would think he would have been okay with that. But then Sivasspor came in and offered $2.3 million, going to $2.8 based on international appearances. And because he's the Lithuanian striker, he's the starting striker for the Lithuanian national team, I know I'm going to see all that money. I don't know that I got value for him. They're saying he's worth 5.75. He wasn't worth that much when he was with us. But we definitely did well. For someone they brought in on a free, I'm not going to complain. Now, we've got about we have 344,000 euros left, and we have a little bit of wiggle room on our wage budget, but a lot of that is because I lowered what we had left out of the transfer budget. The issue I kept running to this offseason was I would find a good player out there on a free or who were still at their club on an expired contract, and they would come in and they would want 25,000 euros or 18,000 euros or something like that. And I think if we go here and check real quick, Stefano Mazzini, who wanted a new contract, and I gave him one, and so did Ritter, are my two highest players at 17,000. So it took a lot of players coming in on trial, seeing how they did, and making a contract offer to them. And if their demands are too high, let me go. Like a prime example is Ibrahim Sisoko. He was on a free. I brought him in on trial. Now he's playing for 7.5 now at Firenze, but that's because no one picked him up. Because when I tried signing him, he wanted 27,000 euros. And I know he got picked up by another team on a training contract and didn't end up signing with them either. Why he wanted so much money, I don't know. I think it may have been his way of negotiating, but, when he wanted 27, I said no, brought him down to 20, and he still said no. It was like, no, I'm not paying you more than Mazzini. You're not worth it. I don't care how good most of your stats are. So the transfer window took me the better part of 8 hours, which normally isn't a bad thing, except that 8 hours started at 11 p.m. at night. So Marco Bresciani comes to us from Milan on a loan. A very good young midfielder, defensive midfielder, 3.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability, solid physically, really good mentally, technically very good where it counts for this level of football. We are paying his salary, but he's only 4.9 thousand euros a week, and I'm okay with that. He's going to be a solid contributor for us this season. He's essentially Smith's replacement. It's not 1-for-1, but it's maybe 3/4 for 1. Tjeerd Dekker comes to us from Feyenoord. He is a youth keeper with potential. They let him go on a free. I brought him in because I let go most of my other keepers. And he's 1.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. I stuck him on the under 19s. He'll be playing there most of the season. He might get some appearances in the cups or against some of the quote-unquote lesser opponents, but this season I think we're going to be one of those lesser opponents. So I don't know that he'll get any starts in 2 Bundesliga, but he's got a decent amount of potential. I like him because he has decent acceleration, decent pace. His natural fitness is nice. His concentration and bravery are great. His vision and positioning could use some work, but then again, he's 18 years old. His reflexes are nice. His kicking and handling are nice. Everything else, with the exception of first touch and throwing, they're not the best. But again, 18 years old, and we can work on that. Lazar Markovic comes to us from Partizan. Advanced midfielder on the right, 28 years old, a little bit older than the players I like to sign, but 3.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability. Physically, he's pretty fast, pretty pacey. He's not dominant in the air. He's not all that strong, but he's playing on the wings, and we're doing a lot more wing play this season. Mentally, he's solid. Technically, he's solid, with the exception of his long throws. I'm really not complaining about any of this here. So I don't know why his dribbling's gone down a little bit. I think that's FM just being FM. But I like him also because he can play all three midfield positions and fill in at striker if we need him to. Francisco Iliarugi came to us across the scouting reports. Now he's from I don't know what this team is in Brazil. I don't have the real name fixed because I started this save in the beta, and it's now the official version of FM21, but I didn't apply the real name fix at the time because I didn't want to screw anything up in the beta. So anyhow, Francisco Iliarugi came across in the scouting reports as available. He was on a free, 25 years old, 3-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. Physically, he's a little bit lacking in a couple areas. Mentally, some of these numbers are a little bit lower than I would prefer, but at the same time, there's nothing bad about them. Technically, he's really good. 13 crossing, 14 dribbling, 12 passing, 13 technique. The 11 first touch is also nice. I like him because he can play the advanced midfield positions I play equally well. He can also fill in at striker, which is nice. And if I have to drop back to some sort of 4-4-2 formation because of injuries or something like that, he can also play on either wing. He's a very versatile player. And for 11,500 euros a week, I think I got a really good bargain, especially because he only cost 275,000. So Jamel could cost us 65,000. And then the big signing of the offseason, Willem Gubbles. Shades of 2018 wonder kid in the making. I don't know that he's going to be one of the best strikers in the game, but he can definitely still be top tier. 3-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. His bravery's gone down because he picked up a knock. He sprained his knee ligaments, so he's out the next 3 to 6 weeks. Physically, he's solid. Mentally, he's good where it counts. Anticipation, composure, determination, off the ball, vision, work rate, they're all solid. They can only go up. And technically, for a striker, he's still solid. The 10 crossing is nice, 13 dribbling, 12 first touch, 12 long shots, 11 passing, 14 technique. I mean, he's definitely a starter for us, and he would probably be an off-the-bench super sub or starter if and when we get to the Bundesliga. If not, I'm reasonably sure, if he doesn't want to stay here, he improves to the point physically where other teams start noticing him, I know we can turn around and make a decent amount of money on him. I also remember paying like 33.5 million euros for him 2 years ago in FM18. So the potential is there. He's 4.5-star potential ability. I suspect down the road, he won't be a world-class striker who everybody knows. But if he turns out into an elite striker and he can help us stay up this year and potentially get promoted down the road, I am more than okay with that. So we do have one more player. We do have one more player leaving. Sven van Beek, Ural came in and made an offer for him, 725,000 euros going to 1.1. Their transfer window dates don't really match up with ours. But he's definitely going there. He wanted to go. I think he's just chasing the money more than anything else. So I scheduled all the friendlies this year myself, and they did really, really well. One of the tricks I learned from watching other YouTubers is that if you're leaving your friendlies up to your assistant, go in and clear your entire team selection and just leave it empty the entire preseason. And what that does is it lets the assistant manager choose the starting squad and the bench 12 for that game. And he will follow the accepted convention of this player's gassed, this player's not healthy, I'm not going to start him. So you get a really good rotation going. Maybe not the rotation you would do exactly, but at the same time, every player got playing time this preseason, and it showed. So we had some really good games. We played Borussia Mönchengladbach and beat them 2-1. They played a fairly rotated side there, though. But we played all of our affiliates. We got a game in against 1860 München. I did have one more scheduled after this, but then they had to cancel due to Europa League. considerations. But if you look at the names of the people who scored, you can see those are the people I'm probably going to be relying on most of the season to do the scoring here. So the season has started okay. We're not losing games, which is fine, but we're not winning games either, which is fine. I think we completely exceeded expectations last year, finishing third. I don't believe we're going to do that this year. It's early. Things could always change, but we're aiming solidly mid-table. If we finish... Last year, my goal was 12th or higher. This year, my goal is 8th or higher. And that's just a personal goal. If we look at the expectations, we're picked to finish 15th. And that's after finishing third last year. So Union Berlin and Fortuna Düsseldorf were the two teams that were relegated down. Nuremberg's picked to finish top. Ingolstadt and Eintracht Braunschweig came in from 3 Bundesliga. They're picked to finish higher than us. This is odd. Both Erdogan and ourselves finished higher on the table last year than anybody expected, and yet we're still expected to be fighting promotion this year. So either last year was an aberration, entirely possible, or the behind-the-scenes press has no idea what they're doing, also entirely possible. So we drew with Eintracht Braunschweig 2-2. I think this was a game where, this has also been happening a lot. Extra time goals. 92nd minute goal here against Sprockhobel, who are a regional team in the Pokal. We absolutely thumped them. Rosser, brace of goals, Goebbels a goal. One of their players had an own goal. We got an extra time goal. Against Holstein Kiel, we drew with them. 1-1. Markovic a goal in the 24th minute, and they equalized about 23 minutes later. About 20 minutes later, actually. And then the second half was just a bunch of ticky-tack fouls and not a lot of effort on either side. Against Erdogan, it wasn't an extra time goal. We had a player sent off in the 81st minute, and then it took Marlon Ritter scoring in the 89th minute for us to claw the draw back. We should have lost this game. I'll be 100% honest with you. We should have lost this game. So, at one point in time, I thought maybe we would play Dusseldorf, but the Pokal draw happened, and we're playing them here. So I think what we're going to do is just call this episode good. It's maybe going to end up being about 14, 15 minutes long after all the edits and that are taken out. Maybe a little bit shorter than that, but I really don't want to play Dusseldorf here and then 2 games offline and come back and play them here. So what we're going to do is call this an episode here and come back, and then we'll play Dusseldorf and Greuther Fürth and get the rest of the season underway. So if you did like what you've seen and heard, and I'd be very interested in your feedback on the transfer moves and whether or not you think Goebbels can potentially turn into that elite striker, I would leave your comments down below. Questions, criticisms, other comments, leave those down below, and I will answer those as fast as I can. My name's FM21. I thank you for watching.